Hey everybody, welcome back to the internet once again. So apparently my Entitled Parents videos seem to get about 10 times the views that anything else I try to make, so looks like I'm going to be doing quite a few of those for a little while. So this first story is called Entitled Mom Confused About Escalators. So a bit of background. I was at the mall yesterday that has 2 floors. There's a middle section of the mall that has an up escalator and a down escalator with a Starbucks store in the middle. However, the store is not that tall, so you can see the escalators on both sides. All I'm going to say is I seriously hope what I saw was not real, but by the way people were staring, I think it was real. So this entitled mom tries to walk up the down escalators, but can't get up the stairs. I'm about to say something because I think she might be tired or distracted and not even realize what the heck is going on. But then she screams for the security guard. She says, "Why are these stairs preventing me from going upstairs?" The guard says, "That's the down escalator, ma'am. They're used to bring people downstairs." She says, "But I want to go up these stairs." The guard says, "Take the escalator just over there. No more than 10 to 20 steps. Mom says, "But that's too far. Why don't you change the direction of the escalator? It's too far to walk, and I have to go to my baby upstairs." The guard says, "Where's your child?" She says, "Upstairs with my husband, duh. Now change the direction of the escalator." He says, "I can't." "It won't be that hard. You could have been upstairs by now if you just used the up escalator. Let's not waste any more time and go up the escalators." "I want to speak to the manager." The guard's like, "He's literally going to say the same thing." The husband now appears at the top of the escalator, with the kid being neutral, going down the down escalator. He says, "Honey, what's going on?" She says, "This man won't change the stairs." He's like, "What do you mean?" She says, "The stairs are going the wrong way." The husband says, "There's a set of stairs right there that are going up." The entitled mom looks as if she's just seeing it for the first time. "Oh, thank you, honey." Goes to the escalator and rides it up with the child. At this point I leave, so I don't know what happens afterwards. Man, I have a hard time believing that this is a real story, but you never know with some people. This next story is called Entitled Kid Crashes into Para's Car, Gets Ed to Sue, Get What They Have Coming for Them. So first thing I wanted to say is I did not witness this as I had track practice during this incident, but I heard all about it from a lot of people I can trust and can promise you it's very accurate. So I live in the country near a small town with about 1,000-ish people, along with almost all the kids that go to my school. Unfortunately, that means that I live near this entitled kid's family. When they first moved in about 5-ish years ago, they were pretty cool. Unfortunately, it did not stay that way. Now on to the story. So my school releases at 3:30, but all the teachers are required to stay until at least 4 in case any students need help on their homework. This includes paras who help with our libraries in our school. It also helps to include any student that is failing a class, where they have to stay after school until 4 to work on their grade in that class. The entitled kid is in this situation, just so happens to be failing a few classes. The entitled kid, by the way, is the worst driver I have ever seen. P was driving out of my school's parking lot around 4-ish. There's only one main exit anyone uses, and the entitled kid comes whipping right up behind her in a beat-up vehicle that has clearly had a few fender benders. Somehow, she manages to hit the back end of P's car and leave a nice little dent along with scratches on P's car, as well as her own. Being the entitled little turd she is, she immediately drives off and pretends nothing happened. The next day, P talks to the school administration about having a talk with entitled kid to sort out the mess she made. When the school brings entitled kid in, she claims that she wasn't even at the school at the time and that P must have already had the dent and was just trying to place the blame on the entitled kid so that her family would have to pay for it, as everyone considered her a bad driver, except her parents. The school decides to call in entitled kid's parents, hoping they will talk some sense into their daughter. Boy, were they wrong. So the entitled dad is technically a tax advisor, but always talks about how he's basically a lawyer and has all the knowledge needed to be one. The entitled mom is just a hype man to her husband. They're both crazy. When entitled dad and mom come in, without even hearing any of the evidence, say that entitled kid is innocent, as she could never do such a thing with how precious she is. They agree with entitled kid that P was lying about the damages to her car. Entitled dad says that if the school doesn't punish P, fire her or something, he will sue P for a false claim and the school for something. He demands that P admits that she was lying about all the damages and even pay for repairs on the entitled kid's car for the annoyances it brought to entitled dad and mom, as well as upsetting entitled kid so badly. P refuses to drop the claims and even decides to countersue entitled dad and mom for their claims against her. Little did the entitled dad know, but the school had a security camera footage literally showing entitled kid smashing into P's car and then speeding off. The school and P never told entitled dad about the footage, and he actually took her to court and represented him and his daughter. From what I heard, the second the security footage was presented, he was dumbfounded, and I believe P won her countersue, which fixed all the damages and then some. The school banned entitled kid from parking in the parking lot for 3 months, as well as banning the parents from being on school grounds for the same amount of time until they were specifically called in by the school. So TLDR, entitled kid, terrible driver, crashes into a school para. Family sues para for false claims, para countersues for damage, and uses the security footage showing the crash. And then everyone gets what they deserve. Man, I love it when security camera footage just saves the day. Alright, so this third story is a pretty long one. It's called, "You Upset My Kid, So Buy Him a Super Expensive Toy." So I was grocery shopping with my grandmother. The old lady was struggling with those crappy plastic bags at the vegetable aisle, and you need some kind of magical powers to open. After I finished teasing her about how she was struggling, I give her a paper bag saying, "Here, it will be easier." And it's more environmentally friendly anyway, so no sea turtles will choke on it. Since I was talking to an 87-year-old woman, my voice was a bit louder than it would be in a public setting. Since she is not hard on hearing. No, missy, not at all. Everyone else is just too soft-spoken and doesn't know how to articulate, and TV sound systems have gone to crap over the years. No sooner I ended that sentence than I heard wailing in the vicinity of my hip. I looked down, and here was a little boy clutching his plushy sea turtle and crying as if I just killed a bunch of sea turtles myself in front of his eyes. Ah, crap, I told myself, because I miraculously managed to have enough self-control not to curse in front of the kid. I also managed to traumatize him a bit. My very supportive grandmother grinned at me, wishing me good luck, and walked away in the hunt of chocolate cookies or another sugary item she pretends her doctor told she can totally eat with her diabetes, and tries to sneak in the cart when I'm not looking. Between the overgrown toddler that I call Maymay and the real toddler that was still crying his heart out, I decided to deal with that I thought would be the easiest, and crouched down to the boy's level. "Hey kid, you heard what I said?" I asked in my soft, "This is a dangerous animal that will attack you and kill you if you make a too loud noise or sudden movement" voice. The kid nodded his head quickly and forcefully. I lightly put my hand on his head to make him stop. Because I was a bit afraid he'd make himself sick or snapped his neck or something. "Where's your parents?" I asked him. It only then occurred to me that it had been about half a minute and no parents came to rescue their screaming kid. The kid pointed to a woman a bit further away. She was leaning on her cart looking at her phone. I have to admit that I rolled my eyes and internally passed judgment on this woman. While I completely forgot that I too would spend time in the store looking at my phone, since it's where the shopping list is, I was now a judgmental jerk as well as a toddler's traumatizer. That was not a good day for me. Nonetheless, I took the kid's hand and walked him to the woman. She didn't notice us approaching, nor standing there. The kid had calmed down a bit, but he was still sniffling and hiccuping and making weird crying noises that only toddlers have the secrets. "Excuse me, miss," I called in the I'm talking to a not-so-deaf grandma voice. She finally looked up from her phone, looking at me in a somewhat dazed look. Then she finally notices her kid, who was still holding my hand and clutching a sea turtle, and clearly upset. She took her kid away from me, a bit forcefully. Her face changed into crazy, angry woman, and she yelled at me, "Why are you with my son, and what have you done to him?" Since I was feeling guilty, I took the yelling and tried to explain the situation. It seems that he overheard me talking about the effects of plastic bags on sea turtles. I tried to phrase it in a way that I would avoid saying in front of the kids that sea turtles are dying again, in the stupid hope that he had already forgotten what he heard about 2 minutes ago. Of course the mom didn't understand and I needed to be more explicit, so I literally spelled it out. I said, "That they CHOKE on it?" Because I lost my brain and sense of ridicule on the vegetable aisle, apparently. Of course the kid wasn't entirely stupid. He might not know how to spell, but he knew what we were talking about, and he didn't have any issue with the immediate memory, so he went back to crying. The mom ignored it. To her, the appropriate course of action was to scream at me some more, instead of trying to comfort her crying kid. "Why would you tell this to a child?" she asked me. I didn't told him that. I wouldn't do something like that. I was talking to my grandmother. I hadn't seen him near me. He simply overheard, and I'm sorry he overheard that. I defended myself and finally managed to work up an apology that I wanted to give since the beginning. "You shouldn't talk about such sensitive topics when there's kids around," she screamed at me. At that point, I'm low-key impressed that her voice isn't hoarse already. "I didn't know that your kid was there," I repeated. Then I tried to go past it, because blame is good and great. But there's still an upset and confused kid here. Look, I'm knowledgeable on the topic, and I'm used to work with kids. Would you agree that we explain all of it to him together so he can understand better and be less afraid for his best friend? She says, "Are you calling me a bad mom?" she screeched. Confused, because where the heck did she pick that up from what I said? I answered, no. I have to confess, in pedo, that I was thinking that I had started to consider it. I mean, woman, your kid is crying in your arms, and you're more focused on me than the kid. What the heck? Then it occurred to me that it's time to get myself away from the situation. "I apologize again," I said. "I'm sorry I unwillingly upset your son," I said to the woman, but I couldn't just leave without trying to reassure the kid somehow. "Don't worry, your friend will be fine if you make sure that all the plastic bags your family used don't go in the water." As I started to walk away, the woman grabbed my arm. She says, "You stay here. This is not enough. I want you to buy him a toy to compensate." I foolishly agree, thinking about the little €3 toys that they sell in the shops. They always have little figurines to do with the sea, but no, she had something else in mind. She brought me to the toy aisles and pointed at the little electric cars. Okay, here I understood. The kid surely asked for it. She doesn't have the money, and she's trying to use me to get it for him. "I can't afford that." She tried to start to argue, but I cut her off. "Look, I left my elderly and sick grandmother alone long enough. I need to get back to her." And I walked away very quickly, as if I had eaten really spicy chili the night before and needed to find a bathroom quickly. When I came back to my grandmother, she had added Oreos and chocolate eclair in the cart. Then I had to convince her not to go to find that woman and hit her with the cane. She only agreed to let it go if I let her keep the Oreos. Okay, that's an alright ending, I guess. So what would you do if you ran into an entitled mom like this? Go ahead and let me know in the comments. And if you want to hear more stories like this, don't forget to subscribe, because I'm doing a lot of these videos right now. So I will talk to you guys next time.